And now, BBC World News.
Hello, everyone. You're watching BBC News. I'm Comla Dumont. Here are our latest headlines. Hopes for a great partnership in the 21st century. Britain's Prime Minister David Cameron arrives in India for the start of a three-day tour.
Britain is now the largest European investor into India. So I think the basis for that special relationship and partnership is absolutely there.
He's back in town. Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez announces his return to the country after cancer surgery. Journalists across the BBC are taking strike action in protest at the loss of jobs in the organization. And London Fashion Week is now in full swing. We'll be seeing what's in this year. Hello and welcome. The British Prime Minister David Cameron says the UK can forge one of the great partnerships of the 21st century with India. That's his hope as he begins a three-day trade mission. The BBC's John Sopel is also in India. He joins us now live from Mumbai. John, there he is. What kind of profile is this visit getting, John?
Well, David Cameron will be hoping that it gets a very high profile, and welcome to the gateway of India behind me. And David Cameron is clearly hoping that this most famous landmark will be a gateway for a huge increase in British trade, because he's brought with him a delegation of some 100 businessmen and academics, even the chief executive of the Premier League, and we'll be hearing from him in just a moment's time. But David Cameron has a clear mission. He wants to double the trade that takes place between Britain and India by 2015. And that is why he has assembled this huge cast of characters with him. They'll be in talks with different business groups throughout the whole kind of sector, if you like. Everything from pharmaceuticals to retail to banking, insurance, you name it. They're hoping to do some business while they're here. Let's get this report from our Deputy Political Editor, James Landale.
It's now more than 2 years since David Cameron last stepped down in India. And while his task remains the same, to bang the drum for British business, it's a drumbeat that's growing in urgency. The Prime Minister says Britain is on track to double its trade with India by 2015, but that would still be less than how much Belgium trades here. So there's more to do, he says, to close the gap between the two countries. That's why Mr. Cameron arrived here with what Downing Street says is the largest trade delegation in
Equities there closed for President's Day. OK, that's all from me. I'll be back in the next hour with a bit more.
All right, we'll see you then, Alice. Thanks very much. Let's bring you the latest headlines now on BBC News. The British Prime Minister David Cameron promises to make it easier for Indian businessmen and students to trade and study in the UK as he kicks off a three-day tour of India in Mumbai. The Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez announces his return to the country after cancer surgery. The BBC has apologized for any disruption caused to its broadcast today as journalists stage a 24-hour strike over job cuts. Some members of the National Union of Journalists have walked out in protest against compulsory redundancies. John Williams reports.
Radio and TV output on the BBC is being disrupted today by a 24-hour journalist strike. They're protesting over compulsory redundancies. BBC News.
At the BBC's new broadcasting house headquarters, Radio 4's Today programme was one of the early casualties, as many regular news programmes were cancelled. Members of the National Union of Journalists are protesting at the BBC's decision to make compulsory redundancies. Staff at BBC Scotland are among those at risk. In Glasgow, they mounted a picket line outside its Pacific Quay studios. Pickets were on duty too at Salford, but many programmes on Radio 5 Live and most non-news programmes elsewhere have continued normally. The BBC says it's disappointed the union has taken strike action and it's apologised to audiences for the disruption to services. It says industrial action can't alter the fact that it has significant savings targets. And it says it's made considerable progress in reducing the need for compulsory redundancies using volunteers and redeployment. The NUJ says it's taking action in Belfast and elsewhere to defend jobs and what it called quality journalism.
There's an agreement between the unions and the BBC on redeployment, and it just hasn't worked. And unfortunately, we found ourselves having to take strike action to try and highlight our concerns, not just for individuals at risk, but also for the future of the BBC and the quality broadcasting that we think the public deserve.
Union members walked out at midnight. Managers and other staff are working to produce some programmes. The strike is due to end later tonight. John Williams, BBC News.
It's London Fashion Week, a time when the world's top designers descend on England's capital with all their latest clothes, styles and catwalk chic on show. But for the top brands exhibiting here, the problem of what to do about the global market in fake goods is still a big one. In Dubai, knockoff brands are everywhere. And our correspondent Katie Watson has been out and about investigating this most lucrative of trades.
Briefly, London Fashion Week.
Oh, absolutely. The models love coming to London. It's such an amazing city, and there's such a buzz of creativity in London that you don't have so much in New York.
Anthony, have a fantastic day. Thanks very much for joining us. That's it for now from me at London Fashion Week. Back to you, Kamala.
Thank you very much, Lucy. A quick reminder of our top story. The British Prime Minister says the UK can forge one of the great partnerships of the 21st century with India. BBC News, I'm Kamala Dumont. Bye-bye.
Funding of this presentation is made possible by the Freeman Foundation of New York, Stowe, Vermont, and Honolulu, Newman's Own Foundation, Fidelity Investments, Union Bank, and United Healthcare.